Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto's News. It's me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto. Happy to have you guys watching. Remember to hit the like if you enjoy these videos. It really goes a long way to helping us grow again. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and remember to ding that bell for the notification so you know that when we're live. Just like Kevin down here in the chat. Good evening, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me, and anyone else who gets a chance to watch this later on or joins us during the live stream. What's up, Validator ETH? It really means so much, man, that you make it out to all the streams. I really appreciate an ETH native out here. What's up, brother? So we're going to get into some stuff. I've had an exhausting day of teaching some lessons and being at the music school, but I've collected some of the most important topics that we're going to be getting into in just a minute. What's up, Kevins? So let's go ahead and do it. Let's start off with CoinGecko. We had a bit of a rebound today. Market caps overall for crypto up 1.4% at $3.513 trillion. Gas prices nice and low. Get those ETH transactions through on layer 1 if you're waiting to do that. They're nice and low today at 4.71 GUI. That's the GUI. Bitcoin is up 2.5%, looking like it wants to touch $100,000 again. It is right near the highs of the day where it reached $97,350. Right now, it's at $97,113, and it's pretty much erased the losses from the week, down only 0.1% over the last 7 days. Ethereum has climbed a little bit higher, still not making the ratio look fantastic, but it's better than being lower than Bitcoin. It's up a bit more than Bitcoin, up 3% at $3,237.68, still down 4.6% on the week. Yeah, let's see that resurgence, ETH. Come on. Let's do like an XRP, which is now up 9.1%. It just climbed 0.3% literally after I hit the go live button. It's at $2.78. Up 17.2% on the week. We might explore some reasons in just a minute why it could be seeing a resurgence. And likewise, some of the highest performers include Dogecoin up 5.1% on the day, and Cardano up 6.6% on the day. It looks like this boost for Cardano started specifically in the Asian trading market, so maybe it's getting some hype there. And Dogecoin is just meme coin retail hype. It's the #1 meme coin still to this day. Even like my stepdad was like, I got myself some Dogecoin just cuz the other day. And I was like, cool. I mean, that's great. Good GFU, you know. Hey, what's up, Whiskey Sanchez? Hey, man, happy to have you here. Yeah, it's looking like this market might have signs of being like the 2017 bull market, which was face-rippingly different from anything we've experienced since. You know, if you were there, Mr. Sanchez. We'll look at an article later on by Bitcoin Magazine talking about some of those mirrors. But let's start off by looking at JP Morgan. So they're talking about specifically XRP. This could be some of the reason that we're seeing a boost today, specifically talking about how XRP and Solana ETFs could bring in $13.6 billion in the first year if they are approved. They said, however, progress on ETFs beyond Bitcoin and Ether has been slow, if not halted altogether, given the lack of regulatory clarity around altcoins, particularly at the SEC and the CFTC. But this new SEC chairman coming in could open the door for new opportunities in cryptocurrency innovation. So certainly an XRP ETF would be something that could probably bring in more than something else. I guess Solana as well, right? It's been like the Ethereum rival. And so those are probably the most expected of ETFs. I have to agree here with JP Morgan, although they did note that these ETFs will not be as meaningful as the first wave of Bitcoin and Ethereum. There will be limited demand compared to Bitcoin and Ether products, which began trading about a year ago. Yeah, and it looks like this is also a thing with XRP. Maybe this kind of expectation is why XRP is pumping so much. So according to Jack the Rippler here on X, only 24 hours remain for the SEC to file their appeal in their case against Ripple. The appeal can be dismissed if they don't file the form. So if they don't file the form, as it underlines here, by January 15th, 2025, then this case might very well be dismissed, which would obviously propel XRP probably higher than the pump that it got today. So that's very likely why we're seeing XRP pump. Although I've been seeing over the whole week a resurgence in XRP trading, and it is one that has not gone away. Speaking of JP Morgan, the CEO, Jamie Dimon, still sees no value in Bitcoin. I love how this starts off, this article on CoinDesk. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is nothing if not consistent when it comes to his views on Bitcoin. I mean, him and Peter Schiff have been like the biggest Bitcoin haters. He said in an interview with CBS News, Jamie Dimon, Bitcoin itself has no intrinsic value. It's used heavily by sex traffickers, by money launderers, ransomware. So I just don't feel great about Bitcoin. Yeah, it, I guess could be used heavily by those groups, but I think it's more heavily used by all the different other avenues to use these things, right? And the intrinsic value is that it takes your bank out of business, and it takes the traditional fractional reserve system that exists under, and it puts itself right next to it to say, why do we still operate in this antiquated way, which obviously brings so much inflation. But anyway, yeah, there's Jamie Dimon still kind of beating the same dead horse and sticking his head in the sand. Time to draw it out, I would say. And his company has been drawing it out. I've heard they've continue to do things with their blockchain that they rebranded from Onyx blockchain to Connexus, and it's still trying to incorporate real world assets and tokenizing them. So likely the research arm of JP Morgan has a lot more understanding than their very CEO, who probably just gets the papers and brushes them off, and I don't know what he does. Goes, sits on his yacht and says the same canned responses over and over. I figure this guy really does nothing. He probably was there very early on during the heyday of Wall Street and kind of stuck to these big, thing swinging ways and thinks he's still the big dog on the block. But arrogance is usually a lot more expensive than ignorance. Anyway, Sony has launched publicly a blockchain-centric Web3 solution. I believe this is actually on Ethereum. They announced 3 blockchain-related companies under Sony Group have announced the launch of the blockchain mainnet Cineum, along with an updated version of crypto asset exchange services and NFT issuance platform. By providing comprehensive solutions from the blockchain, the foundational infrastructure of Web3, to the application layer, companies will work to support creators in expanding their creativity and enhancing engagement with their fan communities. They also add on that Web3, which was explicitly built to tackle concentration of power, is still too complex for users unfamiliar with the blockchain and still lacks major killer apps. So they hope to launch a lot of these killer apps on their platform. They talk about their pilot program, developers doing this in September, about them having an incubation program that was launched then, Cineum Spark. There were 32 projects selected from over 1,700 applications for this. They've further developed these applications. There's entertainment apps such as games, NFTs, social apps. They're launching their own kind of rebranding, rather, their own kind of exchange, I guess you could call it. It's not really an exchange, a financial services platform. It used to be called it's now called S-Blocks. It used to be called the Whalefin platform. It hopes to be super user-friendly with a nice UI. They're going to be doing also a campaign launched that, they're starting it today. It says, offering Bitcoin worth 3,000 yen as a reward for opening a new account and trading crypto assets. This is probably not that much money. I'm not sure how much a yen is right now relative to the dollar. Maybe you guys could let me know down in the comments here, but it's probably not very much money, so I don't think you're going to get rich trying to do that. Anyway, they talk about some of the offerings that are available, for example, featuring Sony Pictures Entertainment Japan, which is going to have exclusive content for people who purchase eligible titles on Prime Video. Customers will be able to enjoy the films they purchased, as well as view and download digital collections and bonus videos on the exclusive channel on the Cineum platform, and they go so on and so on. So yeah, really trying to get behind NFTs and really trying to almost cement their trademarks here with Sony. So I have some comments that I gathered from around the internet. It looks like some of the platforms or projects that launched were blacklisted here on this supposedly public blockchain. We should know it's if it's proprietary, it's probably super not public, especially if a lot of these nodes seem to be controlled really by Sony. So Saneum rugged users, according to cause over $100,000 in ETH on launch day. I've never seen anything like it. Want to be a permission chain? Fine. Instead of whitelisting developers, they chose to instead freeze contracts, effectively rugging users. Amazing launch. So contract addresses on the list that they had provided will have their activities restricted on Saneum, including RPC level blocks, limited visibility on the block explorer, so it's not even like that information is going to be public, and excluded from wallets. It's a shame that this had to come out on the launch day, right? There was probably so much effort that was put into these various projects. Maybe some were actually trying to do good by the users, but the users will no longer be able to engage, and in fact have been rugged. Whatever was put into it seems like it's just going to be gone, including developer activity. So real shame. And this comment here on the Ethereum subreddit by Harog, he said, there seems to be some drama brewing in the Saneum L2. Apparently, they have the possibility to limit activities of certain addresses by not forwarding RPC calls, not showing stuff on their block explorer, and excluding certain things from wallets. The first two are clear. Similar things happened with Infura and block explorers, hiding scam tokens to improve the usability. The third point about excluded from wallets is a bit mysterious, but I guess this can only be done if Saneum has their own wallets. Otherwise, it is just a consequence of not answering RPC calls for certain addresses. One of the first victims seems to be a token called Abo, named after a robot dog made by Sony. They got blacklisted and trading volume went to close to zero. I guess Sony did not like having their trademark name as a meme token on the chain. That's kind of a bad look, I would say. I guess if this is just RPC level blockings, one can easily circumvent it by running their own Saneum node. No idea if it is currently possible. I didn't see any mention of that in that press release that I covered earlier. I guess also third-party RPC providers might be possible. I guess that is why there's still a very small volume of this token trading. I'm not sure if the interpretation is correct, but it seems like Sony is willing to neuter their Saneum chain to protect their trademarks. Not a good start, but also not too much of a surprise, really. Wow, this is really dope. I just wanted to share this with you guys because I encountered this. Ethereum energy consumption after the merge over 2 years ago dropped, what is this, from like over, at 83.40 terawatts per hour per year down to the lows that we're seeing right now, basically 0.01. So really massive when it comes to energy consumption. And if somehow Bitcoin, this idea of it being bad for the environment, just resurges for whatever reason, and I'm sure it will as the years go by, then Ethereum, I think, is still first in line as an alternative here. At least when it comes to just like the mainstream distillation of these crypto projects and how Ethereum is better than Bitcoin because it's better for the environment and so on. But whatever, that's not really something I wish to harp on because I don't think it matters all that much, but just really nice to look at. Anyway, it's certainly cheaper to try to run a node electricity-wise, or really to validate the ledger and get a reward for doing so. Anyway, Uniswap Labs announced a partnership with Ledger. So basically, Ledger hardware wallets, one of the most secure ways to store your crypto, to sign transactions, is now plugged into the API for Uniswap. So in a nutshell, if you open up the Ledger Live application, there will be an option now for you to trade different assets, sign that using your Ledger device, and then have those delivered back to you for your own custody and acknowledgement with this device, right? Being able to sign different transactions. I think that's really cool for security and potentially makes it simpler for people to swap these different things. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that one. Gensler, in an interview with Yahoo Finance, Gary Gensler, head of the SEC, not for long, says the SEC has never said that Bitcoin and Ether are securities, just like heavily hinted that Ether at least might be one. But he did say, we haven't said Ethereum is a security, and neither did his predecessor, Jay Clayton, the former chair of the SEC. He said, Gary Gensler, I think investors are in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The masses, as you said, had access to these prior to the ETFs, exchange traded funds and products. And then he was asked by Yahoo Finance to clarify if Bitcoin and Ether are not securities. And then he got granular, according to the blog here. I said that we, the SEC, have never said they're securities, adding that he can't say outright that both tokens are not securities due to the nature of his job. It feels like every single interview that he does, he just gets snakier and snakier as he prepares to leave office. So there was this one, I retweeted it on X. If you haven't checked it out yet on x.com, then you can head over to Crypto's News and you'll see that I retweeted it there, and check it out for yourself. But for copyright reasons, I will not play it here. But yeah, he had this exit interview, which I think is kind of gold, actually. I really like this CNBC host and the way he carries himself. He really has come to, I think, appreciate cryptocurrencies in a great way, and in much of the different snippets that I've checked out. And in this one, he kind of hounded Gary Gensler for seemingly having tried to disband Bitcoin from everything else that exists. So that it's Bitcoin and everything else. And in it, Gary Gensler, again, kind of snaked around, said there's a lot of volatility around Bitcoin and so on. That's not something he really tried to do with his agency. And then afterwards, he was even asked if he owns any of these. He said he has never owned any of these cryptocurrencies, and he's been consistent on this for 7 or 8 years. He repeated that, I believe, 2 or 3 times at the end of the interview. And then he was asked and then it finishes off basically being told, Gary Gensler, well, now that you're not going to be in office, you can buy them. So I wonder if it is true. I feel like it could not be the case, because just as the commentator pointed out, he even taught blockchain at MIT. So how does it seem that he just has so few things almost to say about them, kind of hiding behind really his agency's views on everything related to the matter? Anyway, snaky guy. I am personally happy he's going to be leaving. And someone else who I'm actually really happy to see is going to be coming, I just saw announced, is Tom Emmer, Minnesota representative. He has been very positive over the years toward cryptocurrency and actually fighting the SEC on many fronts here with what they've done to stifle cryptocurrency, it seems, without giving clear guidance. So he announced that he has been honored to have been selected as vice chairman of this new committee on digital assets that's coming with the new administration, the Trump administration, vice chairman of the subcommittee on digital assets, financial technology, and artificial intelligence. That's a lot to put under one subcommittee, right? I feel like you could have multiple people who you couldn't even call experts probably at the top of these, and that I would not be enough. Anyway, with how fast these things develop, with President Trump in the White House and Gary Gensler confined to the waste bin of Washington, ouch, we have an excellent opportunity to ensure that the future of digital assets is guided by Americans with American values. Anyway, really good to see that he's going to be on board here. I think that was a great choice. Here's an article from 2023, for example, of Tom Emmer sneaking a crypto provision into the House budget bill. And this one was not bad, actually. This one was meant to prohibit the securities regulator from using its budget to pursue enforcement actions against crypto companies until Congress passed legislation that grants the SEC jurisdiction over said asset class. So someone who kind of really does seem to be trying to protect folks with what abilities he does have. So great news, I would say, on that front. Yeah. While we have Jamie Dimon still pooping all over Bitcoin, specifically, like we talked about today, we have BlackRock getting right behind it. Right on the homepage of BlackRock, you're going to see an announcement, the promotion of the Bitcoin ETF, the iShares Bitcoin ETF, the fastest growing ETF in history. And they point out the iBit here in the United States and iBitU in Canada, which we spoke about yesterday, just launched as an ETF option in Canada. We also have the Genius Group announcing $33 million rights offering to increase Bitcoin treasury. So this is a publicly traded company on the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbol GNS, a leading AI-powered Bitcoin-first education group, announcing today that the board of directors has already approved a plan to proceed with a $33 million rights offerings for the company's ordinary shares, with 100% of net proceeds to be used to purchase Bitcoin for the company's Bitcoin treasury. More and more companies adding Bitcoin treasuries. And I remember there was a website that had a list of companies and the amounts that they had in their Bitcoin treasuries, and it was rather small. But I can imagine whoever's trying to maintain that site is having trouble keeping up. I mean, I could probably add so many of these that I don't cover in every video, but I try to cover whenever possible to show you guys that this is something that really is happening on a corporate level, and it's becoming a national level right now. I haven't confirmed this. I even heard like El Salvador was planning, but through 2025 to put a Bitcoin node in every single household. If that is true, that's really ridiculous. But I guess it's good to be bold, right? We'll see if that happens. Anyway, Tether is suing Swan Bitcoin in ongoing Bitcoin mining dispute. If you go over to a lot of the Bitcoin cult communities, let's call them, Swan Bitcoin is a household name, really getting behind running your own node, a lot of these hardcore Bitcoin ideals, eating steak, making sure you have laser eyes. But yeah, Swan Bitcoin, I've even interviewed the founder a few years ago. He's a nice enough guy, but it looks like they are being sued by Tether. And I don't think I have to give Tether an introduction. The first major stablecoin really around cryptocurrencies, and certainly the biggest, right up there before USDC and what came afterwards, right? So this looks like it has to do with a contract dispute related to a Bitcoin mining joint venture that Swan Bitcoin and Tether had undergone. And in a nutshell, they're being sued because they did not honor the terms of their agreement. It started with actually Swan suing some members of the company because they moved on to start a different company called Proton Management, which was the one that was actually mining the Bitcoin assets in concert with Tether. And Tether was not named in that lawsuit by Swan, but now Swan is being named specifically by Tether in this situation. And it looks like Tether actually financed the venture and owns 80% of this Bitcoin mining venture called 2040 Energy. Swan only has 20%, and Swan could only collect profit from the venture once the business line had returned 100% of invested capital to Tether. This does look like it is a confirmed lawsuit, and I think a lot of the fear from folks is that this would be enough. Multiple litigations now involving one with the massive Tether to potentially bring down Swan Bitcoin. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that one. I thought this was ridiculous, but yeah, he's getting ready to come into office. More and more talk about him potentially signing these crypto executive orders day one, and people getting hyped around that. But anyway, here is more silly commentary here. He wrote out, Mr. Trump, "For far too long, we have relied on taxing our great people using the IRS." I got really excited when I read that first sentence. The Internal Revenue Service. But I became less excited as I continued to read through this. "Through soft and pathetically weak trade agreements, the American economy has delivered growth and prosperity to the world while taxing ourselves. It is time for that to change. I'm today announcing that I will create the External Revenue Service to collect our tariffs, duties, and all revenue that come from foreign sources. We will begin charging those that make money off us with trade, and they will start paying finally their fair share. January 20th, 2025 will be the birth date of the External Revenue Service. Make America great again." So I think people are assuming, and that's probably why this got propagated so far and wide, that this means that the Internal Revenue Service is no more. But nowhere did he say that the IRS is going to be no more. Instead, it's going to be a separate arm of the government that's going to be collecting revenues from foreign sources. So nowhere does it say that we're going to have our taxes lowered once this is created and so on. So it's kind of like preying on folks who don't like the IRS, who don't believe in the IRS, in order to make them support something else. It's just like almost normal political stuff. So sad to see the IRS is not going away. And I really hope it's less than just rhetoric and talk when it comes to doing good for crypto specifically. Man, I haven't seen this guy's name in a minute, so I had to mention this guy, Tom Lee. I interviewed him as well at a Bitcoin conference a while back. Tom Lee of Fundstrat, who I think became famous for calling for a $250,000 Bitcoin back in 2017, 2018, and also 2019 and 2020, pretty sure, and probably 2021 and probably 2022. Here we are in 2025, and he's once again calling for a $250,000 Bitcoin. Let's see what he has to say today. Bitcoin is down 15% from its highs for a volatile asset, which is a normal correction. Glassnode data shows that Bitcoin's current cycle has been relatively mild in its drawdowns, only 15 to 20%, much smaller than the 30 to 50% drawdowns that we previously have seen, showing that the asset is perhaps becoming more mature, or rather less volatile through, I guess, its maturity. According to Lee, $70,000 is a line in the sand. He believes that if we drop below that because of Fibonacci levels, we could be going down to $50,000 if we do break under $70,000 levels, and those do not hold. But despite a short-term correction, Lee still thinks Bitcoin will become one of the standout assets for 2025 and remains bullish on end-of-year targets of $200,000 to $250,000. Yeah, we can ignore these Fibonacci lines and so on. Let's just look at $250,000 to the north. Let's just keep saying that number. Anyway, head of research. I was hoping, maybe he says $180,000. I feel like I'd more likely believe him at this point. But yeah, welcome back, Tom Lee, to the show. Well, so this is the article that I was alluding to in the beginning of the show, that we're repeating the 2017 Bitcoin bull cycle. And this is by Bitcoin Magazine. I actually do like a lot of their publications. It talks about some of the takeaways as to why this might be. Specifically, I'll point out the three that pointed out here. The cycle length, the 2017 cycle, the cycle of all crypto cycles. Like if you wanted to be in any crypto cycle, I guess besides the early ones, right? Then those were the ones to be in when crypto went mainstream. So the 2017 cycle peaked at 1,068 days from its low, while the 2021 cycle peaked at 1,060 days. So pretty close there, about 1,060 days from the low to the peak. Currently, we are 779 days into this cycle, suggesting that we have a significant amount of time left. We have almost 300 days to continue climbing to the highs. So we might not really be at a top just yet if we align with these last two cycles. The price action correlation, the correlation between the current cycle and the 2017 cycle, is at an impressive 0.92. This means that the price movements are closely aligned, indicating that we might be following a similar trajectory. So the lines, if you put them right next to each other, they're almost the same, is what they're saying. Almost 100% the same, 92% the same. And investor behavior, the MVRV, the market value to realized value ratio, shows a strong correlation of 0.83 with the 2017 cycle, suggesting that investor behavior is also mirroring past trends. I mean, this is pretty epic, because if we do see price appreciation similar to 2017, we could reach prices as high as $1.5 million. Tom Lee should have called for a bigger number. Come on, bro. What's going on? And this leaves me with this meme, which really is how I feel so many days. I feel it whether crypto is going up or crypto is going down. Buy the dip. With what? Right? All in, baby. And our quote of the day: the highest form of ignorance, Jamie Dimon, is when you reject something you don't know anything about. By Wayne Dyer. And I mean that for Jamie Dimon. I can't think of many people who in this day and age have still just refused to learn about this, who refuse to talk about anything except terrorist financing and sex traffickers, when BlackRock, again, is putting it on their freaking main page right at the front. Bitcoin ETFs, that is already an intrinsic utility. You can trade it. That is something that is provides probably more value than more other things to people's life. So I'll leave you guys with that. And oh, dang, the chat was live today. What's up, guys? I'm sorry I ignored you guys. I had it here at the corner, but I am trying to make these videos concise a little bit more so. So I apologize for not having paid attention to it. But thank you for guys for showing up. Mo, Cindy, Bang Chief, salute brother, Renee, always in the house, Donald Jackson, Wendell, Be Mindful of Love, and all the other supporters who are out there, YouTube sponsors specifically, and my Patreon sponsors. I could not do it without you guys. You keep me motivated day in and day out. Take care, guys. Much love and stay cryptic. Peace.